Hello, dear students. I welcome you all to the class of English Compulsory BA second year. In the previous class, we dealt with the syllabus prescribed for English Compulsory in semester third. In this semester, we are going to study 4 units. Unit number 1 is entitled as Fiction, having 2 short stories. Unit number 2 is Poetry, having 2 poems. Unit number 3 is Non-fictional Prose, having 2 non-fictional prose items. And unit number 4 is of Grammar. Today we are going to study the third unit, item number 1, that is At School, written by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. At School is nothing but an extract taken from his autobiography named An Indian Pilgrim, an unfinished autobiography. This extract deals with Subhash Chandra Bose's childhood experiences in the school. When he got an admission in the school, his experiences with his classmates, his experience in the surrounding of the school. He writes about his family, he writes about society, he writes about his emotional bondage with the headmaster of the school, and ultimately he gives a message to the readers. Subhash Chandra Bose was born in Cuttack in Orissa on 23rd January 1897. He studied in the Protestant European School. Then he studied in the Ravenshaw Collegiate School at Cuttack. Later on, he got an admission in the Presidency College and the Scottish Churches College. For higher education, his parents sent him to the University of Cambridge in England, where he prepared for Indian Civil Service. It is historical fact that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose passed Indian Civil Service examination in the first attempt, but later on he joined Indian freedom struggle and he resigned from his candidacy. Subhash Chandra Bose played a very vital role in the freedom struggle of India. He was a great Indian freedom fighter. He was known as Netaji. He was the president of Indian National Congress from 1938 to 1939. His work in the Indian National Army, that is Azad Hind Sena, is notable. He tried his hard to make India free from the evil clutches of Britishers. His efforts are unforgettable. He attempted to get rid of British rule in India during Second World War with the help of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. He died in a plane crash on 18th August 1945. At School deals with his experiences in the school from 1902 to 1908 at Protestant European School Cuttack, and his experience in class 7th in 1909 at the Ravenshaw Collegiate School at Cuttack. The title of the non-fictional prose is At School, and major themes which are incorporated by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose in the present prose item are respect to parents and teachers, education, sports, nature and his ideal headmaster. There are three major characters in this non-fictional prose item. They are Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as a school-going boy, his father Janakinath Bose, and his beloved headmaster Babu Beni Mahadev Das. Netaji joined the Ravenshaw Collegiate School, Cuttack in 1909. As he was born in the cultured family, his family was well-educated family. So right from his early childhood, Subhash Chandra Bose had tremendous command over English language. He was very good at English. When he got an admission in the school, so because of his knowledge of English, he had immense respect among his classmates, and his teachers also treated him with undue consideration. At the first quarterly examination, he justified the hopes placed him by his teachers. He was a brilliant child. He was a very intelligent student. So when he got admission in the school, he attracted an attention of all his classmates. Even he was considered by his teachers with undue consideration, and he also justified the hopes of his teachers placed in him by scoring good marks in the examination. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose would feel himself better because of his knowledge of English. He was something because rest of the students in the class were not as good as him. He had tremendous knowledge of English language. Therefore, he was appreciated by all his class teachers, class teachers and classmates. He says it was not a feeling of pride, but of self-confidence. Because of his proficiency in English language, he had self-confidence, and he admits that it was not a feeling of pride, but it was self-confidence. But on the other hand, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose does not hide his weakness about his mother tongue. He had no knowledge of Bengali language. Once his teacher asked him to write an essay on cow or horse. He wrote that essay in Bengali language, and he became standing joke among the students because the essay composed by him was read by the teacher to the class, and because of his poor language, all the students in the class were laughing at him. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose felt little bit humiliated at that time. For many days, he was teased by his classmates. He faced all types of humiliations and comments by his classmates. At last, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he decided to overpower his weakness, that of the weakness of Bengali language. So, he tried his hard. He made several efforts for the improvement of his knowledge in Bengali language, and at annual examination, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose got the highest marks in that subject. It is a lesson for those who read this extract, or it is a lesson for all the students who lag behind in certain subjects. They should not lose hope, they should make efforts, and by making efforts, they can have better output. As Subhash Chandra Bose was not able to write an essay, as he was humiliated, teased by his classmates, and he made continuous efforts throughout the year, and finally he proved his ability. He scored highest marks in that subject. So it is an example for all the students, or it is a lesson for all students who deal with how to deal with difficult subject instead of remaining lazy and tolerating humiliations. At the Ravenshaw Collegiate School, Netaji enjoyed his new surroundings and his desire for the change. He would make last friendship with at least some of his classmates. He had no interest in sports. His parents also thought that sports as not suitable for studies and mental health. It was easy for him to make his parents fool and go out for games, but he was then of a goody nature and was busy developing ethical verses in Sanskrit. Some of the verses taught him that the highest virtue consisted in obeying one's father, that when one's father was satisfied, all the gods were satisfied, that one's mother was even greater than one's father, etc., etc. He therefore thought it better not to do what would displease his parents. So, as per the will and pleasure of his parents, he did not go out for games, or he did not show more interest in sports. Instead, he developed his interest in ethical verses in Sanskrit, where he learnt the ethical value that obedience to parents is obedience to God, and disobedience to parents is disobedience to the God. So he would take to gardening and go in for physical exercises and gymnastics. His father had made available certain instruments of gymnastics, and there was special space for physical exercises. So he started spending his time in gardening. He would go to the garden and he would take care of certain plants, he would water them, and later on he would go for gymnastics and some physical exercises. He says that gardening helped him to open his eyes to understand the beauty of nature. However, he feels inclined to think that he should not have neglected sports. Further, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he records the coordination or the relationship or harmony between Bengalis and Orias. He was born in Orissa, but he was Bengali. He says that there was not any kind of ill feeling or misunderstanding between the people of the two sister provinces like Bengal and Orissa. His family members never think or feel in terms of narrow-mindedness such as caste, religion, or language. His father had intimate personal relations with many distinguished Oriya families and never spoke one single disparaging remark about the people of Orissa or about the people of any other province. Such good parental influences were there on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and this helped to mold his character in his early childhood. His father's good behavior and nature teaches us the lesson not to make bad comments on the people of neighboring states. His headmaster Babuben Mahadev Das left a permanent impression on his youthful mind. He felt an irresistible moral appeal in his personality as he was also totally different from other teachers. To see Babuben Madhav Das was to adore him. Therefore, he decided to make his headmaster an ideal for his life and to copy him in future. At the school, he knew respective virtues of a judge, magistrate, commissioner, barrister, doctor, engineer, etc. He had told his teachers at school that he would like to become magistrate. Actually, he was very young to understand the status of the different professions and designations. His family regarded the Indian civil service as the highest position. Therefore, he was deputed to England to prepare for Indian civil service examination, and he justified the faith of his family members by clearing that examination in the first attempt. We know that in later life Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose qualified Indian civil service exam in the first attempt at the age of just 24. Positive and academic atmosphere in his family helped him to develop his personality and to think about his future. This is the significant lesson which we learn from this chapter. Netaji began to desire for the day when he would reach the second class and be entitled to listen to his headmaster's lectures. That day arrived, but he was not so fortunate. After a few months, his headmaster's transfer order came. However, before he left the school, he had succeeded in rousing in him a vague perception of moral values. The headmaster had made him feel the truth of what he had read in his poetry book. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose quotes two lines from the poem "A Man Says a Man for A." That verse number 1 written by Robert Burns. These lines are: "The rank is but the guinea stamp, the man is the gold for all that." The meaning of these two lines is that the rank or position of a person in life is like a guinea coin which is stamped. The man's character is the true gold. Hence, people without ranks are equally important. Emotional parting scene when the headmaster Beni Madhav Das took over of his pupils. As we have come across that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had extreme desire to sit in the classroom of his headmaster and to listen to his lecture, but it was not there in his fate, as the transfer order of the headmaster came, and it was inevitable that the headmaster had to leave the school and go to other place. So the headmaster became so emotional and he could not speak even a single word. He came in the classroom of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. He looked at the students. His eyes were filled with tears. He was so emotional. He could not utter even a single word. And on the other hand, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose also was very much emotional. His eyes were filled with tears and he was crying within himself. When the headmaster saw him weeping, he too became emotional and assured him that they would meet again. The next day, there was a farewell function organized to bid farewell to the headmaster. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose spoke on the occasion, but at that time he was in tears. Then he stopped to listen, but continued to gaze at his emotional face. There was an expression, a glow therein, which he had seen in the portrait of Keshav Chandra Sen. Old Indian tradition of the immortal Guru Shishya relationship full of love and respect. So, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had tremendous love and respect for his teacher, for his headmaster. He had extreme desire to attend his class, but unfortunately, the transfer order of the headmaster came. So, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had not that opportunity to sit in the classroom of his headmaster and listen to his lecture. Netaji became very much emotional, and when farewell function was organized to bid farewell to the headmaster, he stood there to speak. At that time his eyes were filled with tears. So here we are reminded by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's report that India is having great tradition of immortal Guru Shishya relationship, and Gurus are always respected by their disciples. At school, teaches us many lessons and inspires us to think and be virtuous like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, his father, and his headmaster. So, friends, here we have come across Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's account of his experiences at school, how he was very much reluctant, how he was very much poor in mother tongue. Later on he improved his mother tongue. He writes about his family atmosphere. He writes about his father's nature. He writes about his interest in gardening, and he writes about how he learned certain values from ethical verse in Sanskrit, and his understanding of obedience to parents is obedience to God, and disobedience to parents is disobedience to God. Later on, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he developed his love and affection for his headmaster, and he was extremely desirous to attend his class. He wanted to behold him as an ideal in his life. Finally, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose expressed his feelings about his headmaster through his tears, and finally Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and headmaster are departed with the promise that they would meet again. And this is how this extract at school gives very valuable lessons to the students, and it inspires all that we have to think positively, we have to be virtuous like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and we should have positive feelings, we should have a positive approach towards other states, towards people residing in other states. We should have harmonious relationship with other people. We should not make discrimination on the basis of caste, creed and religion, and we should have respect as good as Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had for his headmaster. So with this, I would like to conclude here. Thank you very much.